COVID is the severest to date, of global crisis. But by no means, COVID is not the only crisis Ghana has gone through. You can talk about the global financial crisis. You can talk about our own domestic crisis. For example, when there's drought, when cocoa farms got burnt, and many such, events. Doomsday, when there was no flow of gas from Nigeria. It created serious economic conditions for us. And this is where one has to link what did we do in the past, right? And the issue. In the past, when we have had this crisis, right, we have gone to the IMF, right, supported by the World Bank, development partners, and then they give us the injection that is needed, quick financial injection that is needed for us to do the recovery. Now, what programs have we had to support them? It wasn't only tax increase. So you can go back to the IMF programs. You can go back to the homegrown policy. We attempted to do the homegrown policy, which would have meant we were not going to the IMF, right? So if you pick those programs, they call them austerity, they call them structural, they call them by various names, right? You will see that it wasn't just one fiscal instrument. In fact, not even just fiscal. So what you saw was, what do you do with taxes? Because you begin with taxes. Taxes are bringing the money. You were not getting taxes during the crisis. It is recovering. That's the temporary taxes I was talking about. But then you give GRA, resources and targets, and then they generate more revenue to support the recovery. You look at your expenditure. You cut expenditure. And in fact, that is what did not make IMF programs popular. The fact that you have to cut expenditure, because during the crisis, you want to get out of the recovery, right? Your deficit, which is leading to the excessive borrowing, is made up of revenue minus expenditure. So you look at your expenditure, and you cut, what Americans call some pork. So you cut them, you can bring them back when you have brought the economy back on an even keel, right? Sometimes discretionary ones. There are some you can't. You can't say you are cutting interest because otherwise you default, right? You can't say you are cutting even wages. Otherwise there will be nobody in government offices to work and the rest, right? But you may want to suspend certain expenditures. You may want to the discretionary ones and others, some of which are critical, right? And then you look at the type of loans that you take and you go towards more concessionary, right? Then Bank of Ghana comes in, with, working with the financial sector, credit policies, relaxing, maybe lowering the policy rate, which just gives a signal, for other rates to go down, right? Or Bank of Ghana, then comes in also with some support, because banks suffer, other institutions also suffer. So they give liquidity support and other things to the banks and whatever, right? Then you go to the real sector. As you get some of the resources, particularly the World Bank, African Development Bank type of resources, you take it to the real sector and you create jobs. So those are, you intensify loans for roads, loans for schools, the ones that would create jobs. And that's how the economy recovers. So it has never been one instrument. It has never been just tax increases. No, it has been a combination of tax increases, tax administration, tax enforcement, expenditure management, debt management, and then you go to the real sector and you go to the financial sector. So it's the whole economy that is in that package that you call a program. Every austerity, like the temporary taxes, they have always often come with some temporary taxes because you don't want to disturb the original tax structures. And the two are the ones I mentioned. For example, the temporary import duty and then the fiscal stabilization. And normally the period of the program it takes for the economy to recover. So when the economy begins to recover, they should go away. So for example, when crude oil prices fell in 2015, 2016, and we brought in the temporary import duties and the rest, by 2017, we had 2 additional oil fields, right? So you should let them go, right? And then we also said, look, let's not just wait as a nation for crisis to come and then we are going to the IMF, we are running around. When the times are good, let us put some money aside. And that stabilization fund, you know where I'm going, right? Let us put some money fund, sinking fund to reduce the debt, which we took when we had a problem, right? Again, with 2 oil fields, we're not too faithful with many of these things, right? And therefore, that is what made it so difficult. And COVID became very severe with lockdowns, with airport shutdowns, border closures, and the rest. Right. So I think that this gives us an opportunity for rethink. So what we need is a comprehensive program, which should be our own. If we don't want to go to the fund, it should be our own, but must have some of these measures, right, so that we can get out of the crisis.